Okay, we're on day 39, part B. Part A, we talked about quadrilaterals and the different kinds of quadrilaterals and the angles within a quadrilateral. Today, we're going to talk about the perimeter and the area of quadrilaterals of certain four-sided figures. Okay, so first, we're going to go over our explanation page. So I'm on page 7 of 12 in day 39. Four-sided plane figures, and we're going to be talking about the perimeter and the area. Okay, so they have some formulas here, and you can see they're talking about perimeter first. Further down, they will talk about area. What is the difference? Perimeter is the distance around a shape or an object or a flat shape, basically. So the perimeter here would be the fence. And you have to know things like that. For instance, if you're buying fencing or you otherwise want to know how far it is around a surface. That's the perimeter. And so the way to figure that out would be to measure each side and add all the sides. It's basically adding all the sides, whatever a shape is. That's the basic formula for perimeter. Now they have fancy formulas here. They said for a square, since all the sides are the same, it's 4 times the side. For the rectangle, since two sides are the same, the lengths and the widths are the same, you do 2L plus 2W, 2 lengths plus 2W. Do you have to memorize these? No, just remember it's the distance around a shape. That's the general formula you should remember, because that'll help you with any shape, that it's the distance, how far it is around something. Okay? When we get down to area, you're talking about covering a shape, the space that is enclosed by the shape. For instance, that's why they are showing the grass. That's the area. You need area if you're figuring out if you're going to be painting something, because you're painting the whole wall or the whole ceiling. You need to know the area so you can buy the right amount of paint. That's an example of area problems, any area word problems. Okay, and they give the area for some quadrilaterals here. They have the area of a square is the side squared. But remember, to figure out the area of a shape, it's basically the length times the width of a square and a rectangle. In a square, the length and the width are the same, so we say S squared. In a rectangle, it's the length times the width. We'll give you the area. Now, a parallelogram. I don't know if you can see that parallelogram. Well, you can see it on your paper, right? Looking at the parallelogram, if you cut this part off, this little triangle over here, it would fit right over here. And then you would be figuring it would be the same area as this rectangle. See, if I cut that triangle and stuck it over here, you can see you'd be left with this rectangle. And what's the area of this rectangle? It's the length, which is the base of the parallelogram, the length, times this line here. It's not one of the sides, it's called the height. A perpendicular line from the base of one to the base of the other. That's the height. So the area of a parallelogram is the base times the height, not times the side. The base, you can do it the other way too, but it's easier to take the bigger base. The base times the height. A trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid has two bases of different lengths, right? The height is the same because it's parallel lines, the top and the bottom, but the base changes. Now, if we use the top base, the smaller base, times the height, that would give us the area of this little rectangle. If we use the bigger base, that would give us the area of this giant, well, this much bigger rectangle. But we want something in between. We don't want the little one and we don't want the big one. Well, what you do is you just take the average of the two. 1/2 the average of the two bases. Base 1 plus base 2. Remember how you get averages, how you get the mean? You add up the numbers and you divide by how many there are. There's two numbers, two bases. You add them up and divide by 2. 1/2 the base 1 times plus base 2 times the height. Now they give this formula over here, 1/2 height times the base 1 plus base 2. Same formula, they just put the height in the middle. I like the height over here because it's easy to remember. It's the average base, and that makes sense. And it's an easier way to remember the formula. You take the average of the bases and multiply times the height. Anyway, read through this instruction page. They have a practice problem for you. Read through that to get a good idea of how to find the perimeter and area of certain quadrilaterals. So we're going to move on to some problems here. Okay, so here are some problems of finding perimeters and areas of four-sided plane figures of special quadrilaterals. And we're working with just rectangles, it looks like. Rectangles, maybe some squares, which are special rectangles. Anyway, we have to find the perimeter and the area. The perimeter, remember, you just add them all up. Little problem here, you got 8, you got 9, and then it doesn't tell you that. It tells you these two, 4 and 5, but it doesn't tell you these two. Well, can we figure that out? Well, yeah. This rectangle here, this side has to be equal to this side. So to find this one, we know that this is 5. If this is 8 and this one's 5, what's that little piece going to be? Well, this whole thing is the same as the 8, right? So how would you find this? 8 minus 5 is 3. Same thing for figuring out this one. We know this bottom line is 9, the length. This is 4, and this is the missing part. It's the same length going all the way across. How would you find it? 9 minus 4, 5. And then you simply add them all up. 8 and 9 is 17, and 3 is 20, 24, 29, 34. By the way, if you had turned this around and put it up here like this, it would have the same perimeter because it's the same pieces. So think of these as little sticks. You could put this one up here and this one up here. And then you would have 8 by 9 by 8 by 9. And that also would be 34. 34. By the way, they're all meters, so it's 34 meters. Now, how do you find the area? Well, the area is length times the width. That's real easy down here, but not so easy on this one because we're missing a piece over here. So you don't want to count that. So what you can do is break this. There's 2 ways to solve this. We're going to break it into 2. First, we'll break it into 2 rectangles. So we got this rectangle, which is 8, not by 9, by 5. 8 by 5. What's the area of a rectangle? You just multiply. 8 by 5 is 40. 8 times 5. I'll write this first time. How about this piece? 4. The length is 4 and the width is 3. 4 times 3, 12. So we got this one and we got this one. We add them together. 52. 52 meters? No. When you get area, you're multiplying meters times meters. So we say 52 meters squared. 52 meters squared. The correct label is meters squared for area. Meters is just length. Meters squared is area. If you're going to do volume, when you measure how much something holds, like a big box, how much you can fill a box, that's called volume. We'll do that later. Volume is measured in meters cubed because you're multiplying meters times meters times meters. But for now, we'll just remember meters squared. This one's much easier. Perimeter. Of course, you're doing these before I do them. You should be able to. Okay, but try them anyway. 6, 2, what's this going to be? 6 and 2. So you got 6 and 2 is 8, 6 and 2 is 8, 8 and 8 is 16 is the perimeter. 16. What's 2 M's? Well, that's meters. These are millimeters. They're much smaller. There's 1,000 millimeters in a meter. 1,000 of them, right? Yeah, because there's 100 centimeters. So 1,000 millimeters. There's 10 millimeters in the centimeter. 1,000 of these little babies in a meter. So this would actually be a very small thing. This is bigger than the real rectangle. Area. you multiply the length times the width. 6 times 2 is 12 millimeters squared. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back to this one. No, I'll tell you what. On number 3, I said there were 2 ways to solve number 1. I only did one way. On number 3, we'll show you the other way you could have solved it. Okay, perimeter. Now they use funny numbers here. 2.8. Oh no, 2 feet, 4. They didn't use funny numbers. I'm reading it wrong. Okay, 4 minus 2. That leaves this side 2. Now we need this one here. 5 minus 3. This side is also 2. If you add them all up, 2 and 5 is 7, and 4 is 11, and 4 is 15, and 3 is 18, which is the same as 4 and 5, 4 and 5. 18 feet. Now this time I'm going to figure out the area a different way. The last time on number 1, I did this. I cut it down here, and I figured out the area of this rectangle and the area of this rectangle. This time, I'm going to figure out the area of this big rectangle here, which is 4 by 5 times 5 equals 20. Then I'm going to subtract this little piece over here, and that's 3 by 2. 3 by 2 equals 6. I'm going to take 20 square feet minus 6 square feet. 14 square feet. You could write the word SQ feet, or you could put feet squared. They write it this way too. Or you could put SQ feet. Okay, one more. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to add the side. So you have 5. What's this side? 5. This one's 10, so this one must be 5. What's this side? 5. This one's 3. 5 minus 3. This one's 2. Now you can add up all the sides. 10, 2 is 12, and 5 is 17, and 3 is 20, and 5 is 25, and 5 is 30. Or the same as 5 and 10 is 15, and double that, 30. 30 meters. The area, well, which way do you want to do it? The divide and add the 2. 5 by 5, 25. 5 by 5, 25, and this one is what? 5 by 2, 10, add them, 30 square feet, 30 square meters. Hey, this, 35, sorry. 35, I could put this way, square meters, or I could put meters squared. 35 square meters, 35 meters squared. Anyway, 35, 25, and 10. If I had done it the other way, I would have had 5 times 10, 50 minus 3 by 5, 15. 50 minus 15 is also 35. Now, I'm not going to go through all these. You know, I don't even know if that one was on the thing. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these. Pretty much the same way we did these. Try them on your own. Check the answers in the back if you want. Okay, we're going to go into the word problem page. Okay, well, these are pretty much like those, except we do have other shapes besides rectangles. Find the area and perimeter of each figure. Okay, I'm not going to do these two because it's the same as what we just did. In fact, they're very easy. Perimeter, you add up the sides. Area, you multiply the length times the width. The length times the width, right? To get the area. Parallelogram. How do we get the perimeter? Well, let's do the perimeter first. Perimeter, you add up all the sides. Now, are we going to add that 3.7? No, that's not a side. That's the height of the perimeter. That we don't use for the perimeter. Perimeter is 4.35 or 6. What is that? A 6 or an 8? Jeez. Okay. Let me make this a little bigger even. Okay. So this is also going to be 4.3 because it's a parallelogram. The sides are equal, the opposite sides. And this one's going to be 8. So you add them up. Now you could add them all up or you could add 2 of them up. 8 and 4 plus 3 is 12.3, and then double it, because this is also going to be 12.3. 12.3 times 2, 6, 4, 2. 24.6. That's your perimeter. 24.6. They didn't put a unit, so don't worry about the unit. Okay. Now, what's the area? Well, the area is the base 8 times the height, not times the side, times the height, which is a perpendicular line from one base to the other, 3.7. And that, if you use your calculator, I forgot that I didn't need my calculator, is 29.6. I did 8 times 7, 56, because I know my multiplication tables. We had to learn them. We didn't have calculators. We had to learn all this. Well, I won't say a bad word. Okay, 6, carry 5. 8 times 3 is 24, and 5 is 29.6. Square, whatever that unit is, we don't know. Trapezoid. Again, the general rule, perimeter, just add all the sides. This is not a side, that's the height. So the sides would be 29, 42, 24, 14. If you put those in your calculator, let's see, 71, 95, 109. That's what I got. Let's check it again. 66, 95. Yep, 109. Now, the area. Remember the area? It's not this little one, 14 times the height, 22. And it's not the big one, 42 times 22. You take the average of these two bases. So the average of the two bases, 42 and 14, is 56 together, and half of 56 is 28. So the average is 28, is the average base. And I just multiply that times the height, 22. Ay. What's that one? Okay, so it's going to end in 6. Let's put that down. We get 56, 56. So this is going to be a 1. This is going to 616. Is that correct? 616. That's what I got. But I don't know. You check it out yourselves. Okay. And then we got another parallelogram that's like that one. Again, you would add the sides. That's 4. So this is 4. This is 12. 16 and 16. Perimeter's 32. This was the perimeter, by the way. I don't know if you can see where I am now. Can you? Nope, you can't. Okay. The perimeter, I added up the 4 sides. Now, this one's a parallelogram, so they have the same base. You don't have to take the average, okay? Now, they gave us this height, so I have to use this base. If they had given us this height, then I would use this base. But they put the height here, so I have to use the base 4. The base area is the base times the height. 4 times 9.5. Make sure you don't do 4 times 12. That would give you the area of a rectangle, and that's not the same thing. I would give an area of a rectangle, not this rectangle. Yeah. Anyway, you do 4 times 9.5. Put that in your calculator. What does that give you? 38? 38, I think. Okay, if you had done it correctly. Okay, going down to word problems. That's what I like to see, word problems, because I think the test is much more about word problems. Okay. What is the area in square inches of the shaded portion of the rectangle? So what's the area of this? Well, they gave us some numbers, but not necessarily the numbers we need. We're not doing perimeter, so we don't want the distance around. We're doing area. What shape is this, first of all? This side is parallel to this side, but this side is not parallel to this side. So it's a trapezoid. And a trapezoid is we take the average base and we multiply times the height. But is there a height here? Well, it says this is a rectangle. If this is a rectangle, then that means this is perpendicular. It is a right angle, which means it is the height. It's got a nice right angle, so that's the height. So we can use that as the height. So the area is the average of the base and the height. Now the base here it says is 9. The base here is 5. What's the average of 5 and 9? What's between 5 and 9? Right in the middle, 7. Or if you figured out average, 9 and 5 is 14. Half of 14 is 7. Okay, 7 is the average base. So 7 times, is that a 6 or an 8? An 8. 7 times 8 equals 56. That's the area of this trapezoid, the area of the shaded portion of the. Is it there? Yes, here it is. C. Okay. The four sides of a rectangle measure 9 feet, 6 feet, 9 feet, and 6 feet. What is the area of the rectangle in square feet? Is that easy or hard? Well, that's an easy one, isn't it? It's just a rectangle. 6 by 9. What is the area in rectangle? You just multiply 6 times 9. And if you know your multiplication, you know this rule with the hands, 6. I don't know if you can even see. You can't see. Anyway, let me show you that one real quick if I can. I don't know if I can fit my big hands underneath there. 6. You take the 6th finger and you fold it over. What's left? 54. 54. 54. 6 times 9 is 54. And there it is. C. 54. Okay. Number 8. Okay, number 8 right here. Okay, Martin is building a rectangular patio centered on one side of his yard. The rest of his yard shown in the diagram is planted in grass. If the measurements in the diagram are in feet, what is the square footage of the grass portion of Martin's yard? So here's his patio. This is his yard, the whole thing. This is patio. We want to know how much grass he has to mow. Mowing, talking about mowing, I might have to mow today, except it's raining, so I get a reprieve. Of course, that makes the grass grow faster. Anyway, so how do we figure out the grass? Well, that's a weird thing. I could try to figure out 3 rectangles, and I could figure out how big they are. This one's 18. I'd have to figure out this. You know, that's a little hard. The easier thing to do instead of figuring out these 3 is figure out how big is the yard and subtract the patio. So the yard is 18 by 24. I was supposed to figure these out in advance, and I forgot to do that. Okay, 18 by 24. 20 by 24 is 480, and I got to subtract 48. So it's still going to be 432. That's what I got. Let's see. Let me check. 480 minus 48. There's 432. Yep, that's correct. Okay, that's the whole yard. The patio is 9 by 12. 9 by 12 is 108. And what do? You subtract to get the grass. 32 minus 8, 24. 324. Let's see if it's there. So I probably did it right. 324. Does that make sense? Well, the big area was 432, and it's pretty big, 324. That sounds about right. These sound way too small because the big area itself was 432. This area is way more than half of it. And it can't be 432. That's the big area. Wait, you didn't even have to figure it out. You could have just looked at the numbers and picked the one that makes sense. Remember I said when you're doing multiple choice, you can look at the answers and sometimes figure out what's the right answer without doing the work. For those of us lazy people. Okay, last one. A square measures 6 centimeters on one side. What is the perimeter of the square in centimeters? Is that easy or hard or what? Jeez. Well, it's a square, so they're all the same. If one side is 6, then all 4 sides are 6. 4 times 6, 24. Now, did I do anything wrong? Let's see. Square measures 6 centimeters on one side. What is the perimeter of the square in centimeters? They're both centimeters. I thought maybe they tricked us and said, what is it measures 6 meters on one side. What is the perimeter in centimeters? But they didn't, because we're not really working on converting centimeters to meters. Anyway, 4 6 is 24. That one couldn't be easier. And I think that's it for this day's lesson. Okay, onward to day 40 then.